Hello everyone, welcome to Startup Academy. So, in today's lecture, we shall be discussing about the climate, and this topic shall be related to your geography. So, welcome to your geography class. Okay, so there is an information regarding these PDFs and all. In these lecture, I would be trying to complete all the points in very short and the minute forms because this is the high time and this is the time where you need to revise all the things. So this video shall be for in the detail. This video will be the detailed video of the important topics because your exams are near, so you will be easy, these PDFs will be easy to grab, easy to learn, and I shall be explaining every point in detail. So therefore most of the things shall be covered. If you have not yet started your preparation, you can start it now, as you are given the best opportunity by Startup Academy. So for today, we shall be discussing about the main topic, that is climate. So climate se related there are so many questions that you can see in the part of geography. So therefore this topic holds great importance. Approximately 10 marks का ये question आता है, and 10 marks could be easily grabbed. If not 10, then ultimately 8 तो easily आप grab कर लोगे while looking at this PDF. Okay, let's start with it. For geography, we have the first thing. When we study about climate, there is a difference between the climate and the weather. Climate is like now it is going on what, now it is going on what, and weather is like जो information आपको Google regular basis पर दे रहा होता है, that is known as weather. Like now it will be showing it is quite windy. After few hours it will show that it is quite sunny. After several hours it will show that the sun has set, therefore it will be again quite cold. So the thing that is changing within several periods, like within small amount of time, that is known as weather, and the thing that remains throughout for a long period of time is known as climate. Climate हो जाएगा एक बड़ा टर्म और weather हो जाएगा आपके लिए एक छोटा टर्म. तो coming to the topic, that is climate and weather. तो फंडामेंटल कंसेप्ट है, यू नीड टू नो कि वेदर क्या होता है एंड क्लाइमेट क्या होता है. ओके, वेदर रेफर्स टू द शॉर्ट टर्म कंडीशन. जो गूगल मैप्स बताते हैं, जो गूगल का वेदर क्लाइमेट होता है, वो जो चीजें बता रहे हैं, दैट इज नोन एज वेदर. द शॉर्ट टर्म कंडीशन ऑफ एटमॉस्फेयर, आवर्स टू डेज इंक्लूडिंग टेम्परेचर, रेनफॉल, विंड एंड ह्यूमिडिटी. What is climate? It is a long-term average of weather conditions generally calculated over a period of 30 to 35 years as per World Meteorological Organization. So there is an organization that will monitor which type of climate prevails over which particular state. State refers to the country, है ना, and which part of the earth is experiencing which type of climate over a long period of time, and that particular type is given to the country. So we have wet monsoon type of climate as per world's World Meteorological Organization. Now coming to coming to climate, it does not mean conditions but also variability is there, frequency, intensity and extremes are there. Climate data forms the basis of agriculture, planning, water resource management, disaster, everything. What happens in, since I'm saying that ours is a monsoon type of climate, therefore we need to plan which sort of crops are to be grown, like which cattle can rear in which region of India. Supposedly we we take the two states. One we shall take Tamil Nadu and another we are taking say not Uttar Pradesh. We can take approximately what? We can take, what can we take? Okay, let's take Rajasthan. One we are taking Tamil Nadu, another one is Rajasthan. So in Rajasthan, the type of crops growing over there, the vegetation, the people eating food type, and the cattle roaring will be different from the uh, vegetation that is found in Tamil Nadu. Why? Because there is a huge variation in the climate. Not the climate particularly the India is having, but the climate the two different states at different parts of the country they are situated, so they are having different type of climate. So therefore agricultural planning has to be done, the water management schemes are to be followed, types of crops that should be grown, the types of cattle rearing, the people living, their habitats, their habits, and everything has to be maintained according to the climate. And the climate data is again given to us by forecasting methods, and economic forecasting and certain sort of management only shall be helpful. Now, another are elements of climate. What are the factors that actually affect the climate? So there are certain important factors like temperature is there, atmospheric pressure is there, climate is there. Recently, I few seconds back, I just took an example, and that example included two different states. One was Rajasthan, and another was Tamil Nadu. And we saw that the crops grown in Rajasthan and the crops found or grown in Tamil Nadu are very different. The cattle rearing is different. The people over there eats different things. ठीक है? So here in Rajasthan, people eat somewhat dry food. Now, dry and heavy foods such as millets. And in Tamil Nadu, people eat very soggy foods, like we can say rice they eat, dals they eat. So these are quite soggy food. They are eating soggy food and they are eating dried food. Why is it so happening? So there is the differentiation. Now, if I come to Rajasthan, I will find people wearing very cotton type of clothes during summers, and during nights, in summer morning and during nights, they would be covered in the shields. Whereas in Tamil Nadu, people are again wearing light and linen type of clothes because of the atmospheric conditions, and during night also they are very chill. So why is it so happening? Because there are certain factors that actually affect the climate. So what are these factors? First of all, the factor is nothing but the temperature. Temperature is nothing but the degree of hotness or coldness, and it is usually measured by a thermometer. Next we have is atmospheric pressure. As you all know that atmospheric pressure is what? Pressure is nothing but the force exerted by the air, because we are talking about the atmospheric pressure. So force exerted by the air is known as atmospheric pressure. Another thing is wind. If it would be a windy region, so the temperature, in even in high temperature, if the windy region is there, so there will be change in pressure. See, if there's a balloon, you need to blow a balloon. So while blowing a balloon, what happens is you will be blowing the air. In the balloon there is a certain sort of pressure inside the balloon, and outside the balloon is also certain sort of atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure is outside the balloon, and inside there is a air which is exerting its own pressure. What happens is when you are in air blowing air in the balloon, what will happen after some time, after it reaches its maximum extent, the pressure will lead the balloon to burst. So therefore, it is nothing but the flow of high pressure to low pressure. So pressure always travels from high pressure to low pressure. This is known as what? Wind. This is what the wind does. Again, the humidity factor. Humidity factor basically represents the amount of water vapor that is present in the air. Next is the precipitation. Precipitation is nothing but when you see snowfall, when you see sleet, when you see mist, dew forms, all these forms are sort of nothing but the moisture that is coming from the atmosphere. Now we have the controls of climate. How are we gonna deal with the controls of the climate? So, what are the factors that basically control the climate? So, factors controlling the climate are latitude. Latitude is there, altitude, distance from the sea, and the ocean currents. So, directly, year 2024 में it was asked like which factors will affect the climate of India. Also mention how they're gonna affect. Like if you are increasing the altitude, what will happen? If you are decreasing the latitude, what will happen? If you are moving towards the left or the right, what will happen? So as you all know, so this question was asked, so you can mark it as important. Okay. So one thing that we can discuss about discussing the controls of the climate We know that the Earth's axis is somewhat tilted. Axis of rotation, it is tilted. Tilted in which direction? It is tilted in 23.5 degrees. So this is what the tilt is there, and because of this tilt there can be certain sort of variations as well. So if you will mention this, this is an important factor. Now what are the again thing? Okay, what happens is, this is our Earth. All these lines are known as latitude, and all these are called latitudes. This is latitudinal view. And if I try to draw over here, all these lines are longitudes. So these are called longitudes. Together they form the grid system like this, and this is the grid system of the Earth. Grid system. What happens is, when you mark 2 points, like the meeting points of what? X axis and the Y axis, or you can say latitude and the longitude, that forms a grid, that forms a point where you mark certain degrees like this. Okay, so what happens is, when there is a latitude, it will determine the ice insolation, like what amount of energy will come. As you all know that there is certain, okay, if I draw this Earth over here and there is somewhat sun from here, sun is shining from here, so this place would be receiving, let me just change the pen. This stage would be receiving the direct rays, while rays will have to travel to reach this side, to reach this side, and will have to travel the maximum distance to reach this side. So this is not possible. The rays should go like this in this direction and shall not be reverting. So this side stays black, whereas this latitudinal side will get the maximum of the sun rays. Therefore, the maximum heat will be generated, and since maximum heat, maximum temperature, and as we have just seen that if there is rise in temperature, therefore the weather shall be quite sunny on that particular day. So like this, you can determine, that is, if the sun is shining directly, on which latitude is it shining, that actually affects which type of climate the country will be having, or the earth would be having. Next we have the altitude. Altitude refers to the height. If you are on the plain areas, here the temperature will be, if depending on the month. But if you are going to the higher altitudes, supposedly you are going to Kullu Manali, you are going to Shimla, all these places, Shillong and all Meghalaya. So if you are going to such places, there the temperature is quite low. Why? Because as the altitude increases, the temperature decreases. So this factor again rules the climate. Another thing that we have is distance from the sea. Like just we discussed about Rajasthan, and we discussed about Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu being near to the sea and Rajasthan being very far away from the sea have certain sort of dry climate, whereas Tamil Nadu experiences Mediterranean type of climate, that means maritime of climate. If it is windy, it would be windy all over. If it is sunny, it would be sunny all over. Therefore, the Mediterranean type of climate shall be observed by the people in Tamil Nadu, and maximum of the maximum rainfall shall also be observed. Then another thing that we have is ocean currents. They also are warm ocean currents. If they would be there, then there would be rise in the temperature, and also the humidity will be rise, जिसको हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं उमस हो जाना. Another thing is, if there would be cold currents will lead to decrement in the rainfall, because less of evaporation would be there, due to which less rainfall will be there, causing aridity. Arid areas are the areas, you can say the areas of Gujarat and Rajasthan, which receive less and the less amount of rainfall. Therefore they become the arid areas. Now the pressure and the wind system, again we have just discussed about the altitude. Therefore we can relate altitude and the pressure together. due to which the windy system can be related. Pressure, as you all know, creates wind. Wind is like high pressure to low pressure, the things are moving. If there is movement of high pressure to low pressure, that is nothing but the wind. And again, there are certain sort of winds that you can study, like in which type of monsoon, sorry, which month, which wind flows, like Lu and cyclones and other various types of winds are also there. So we shall be discussing about that. Now we have the relief features. Relief features, one of the most relief features that we have is mountain, like Mount Everest that we can discuss right now. What happens is if you are having Mount Everest, okay, supposedly here is the Mount Everest, and of this side here are the other countries, and here it is India. So when you talk about the other countries and India, what you can say is cold winds from other countries are blowing. Since they are blowing, so most of the winds will strike this part of the Mount Everest. This is Mount. Since they are striking this side of the Mount Everest, this will not allow this side, the slope of this mountain will not allow these winds to come towards India. These are the cold winds. They will not be able to come towards India because of this. Therefore, they will stay in China itself. Now, if we talk about the monsoon laden, or we can say the moisture laden, moisture laden winds. Moisture laden winds are those winds that will create rainfall. Not create actually, they will cause rainfall, causing rainfall. So these are the winds that would be flowing from this side to that side. So let me just draw these winds as well. So these are the winds that are going over there. Okay. These moisture laden winds are moving towards this side. They will try to cross this Mount Everest, and in their try, what will happen? The mount will not allow them to cross. Therefore, they will strike this side of the mountain and will cause the heavy rainfall over here. So this side would be experiencing certain heavy rainfall. After striking this side, heavy rainfall will be caused. So this rainfall is quite beneficial for India, and these cold winds are protected. So Mount Everest is acting like a what? It is acting like a shield. How come shield? Cold winds are not allowed to cross this mountain barrier and reach India. And also it is the source of rainfall. How come source of rainfall? Moisture laden winds are trying to cross this Mount Everest, but Mount Everest being Mount Everest, it will not allow this side, this slope will not allow the winds to go that side. Therefore, the winds will strike the slope of the Mount Everest and will cause them to create the rainfall inside India itself. So, thus we can say that mountains are acting, or the relief features are acting or playing great role in maintaining the climate of India. Okay, so these were the controls. Another thing is the heat budget of India. If we talk about the heat budget, what we can say is heat budget of India says that the amount of heat that the earth is receiving and how much it can just take in, store in, and the how much amount of heat is being exported or exerted by the earth, that we shall be discussing. It says that the amount of solar energy, the amount of solar energy that India is receiving is known as insolation. Like latitude was there, here the latitude was there, so the smallest distance would be, smallest distance from sun is this. Therefore this latitude shall be having the large amount of heat. So short wave ranges are known as insolation. So these are the units mentioned, you need not to learn them. The Earth maintains thermal equilibrium through terrestrial radiation, conduction, convection, and advection. What happens is it will radiate certain sort of heat. If you are absorbing something, obviously the radiations would be produced, and large amount of radiations radiating large amount of heat is not possible. But in case of Earth, it is possible because radiation and exertion or convection or conduction, these are the surface phenomena. The surface of the Earth is quite large and it is sphere. And as we all know, the sphere has the maximum area due to which there would be maximum um loss of the heat. So, heat budget forms the basis of the surface temperature estimation and climate modeling. If more of the heat will be entrapped, the climate would be quite hot. If less heat would be entrapped, it will be cold. And if the moderable heat is entrapped, then it will be the climate would be moderable. The next thing we have is the distribution of the temperature. It says there is a different distribution for the horizontal basis, vertical basis, and for the environmental lapse rate. Horizontal basis says that you can use using the isotherms. Isotherms are nothing but those represent the places having same sort of temperature. So those are known as isotherm, that is same temperature. These are basically influenced by latitude, as the case has been just explained. Ocean currents are also there. Ocean currents, if high ocean currents, if cold ocean currents would be there, the area will become arid, and if the ocean currents are quite hot, the area will having a large amount of rainfall and certain sort of hot temperature. Then we have is environmental lapse rate. What with with time or with height, what will happen if we are moving on forward? If you are going from Tamil Nadu, you are going to Shillong, you will be experiencing certain sort of increase or decrease in temperature as there is increase in height. So you can mention one point that altitude inversely proportional to your temperature. Like this, you can learn. Another thing is temperature inversion, condition where temperature increases with height lead to fog and pollution entrapping. This we all know. Then there are global atmospheric pressure belts. If we talk about the global atmospheric pressure belts, pressure again plays the major role. How come? Okay. When we talk about the global atmospheric pressure belts, we have three sorts of pressure belts. That is equatorial low pressure, matlab at the equator the pressure would be low. If we talk about the high pressure, they would be subtropical high pressure. Then we have subpolar pressure belts and we have polar pressure belts. As we draw the diagram, we know this is the equator, subtropic, tropic region, subtropic, and tropical region. Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, these are mentioned according to the equator, and as we all know, equator is at 0 degrees. So, like this, you can mention these are all the tropic regions, and these are the tropic tropiocas that we can face. Now, planetary winds, wind system is again playing important role. How come? Trade winds are there, westerlies are there, and polar easterlies are there. Why trade winds are those which are moving from subtropical heights to equatorial low pressure region, and winds always move from high pressure to low pressure. So from subtropical spot, there are moving from subtropical spot. The movement of the wind could be determined as from subtropical spot, they are moving to equatorial region. So this represents the first wind. These are known as trade winds. If we talk about the westerlies, westerlies are dominant in mid latitudes responsible for temperate cyclones. So Mid latitude are those latitudes that are lying in this region. So if we talk about this region, here in this region, which sort of winds are there? Westerlies are there. Westerlies winds shall be flowing in that region. Now polar easterlies, since these are the polar areas, when we talk about the polar easterlies, these are the polar areas. So the wind flowing in these region or blowing in these region, these are supposed to be the cold region. So these are the polar easterly winds. Why are we considering them cold? It is so because here is the sun, and when sun shines, the maximum heat of the sun will go to this, maximum to maximum it can go to this, but the least amount of heat that the sun could ever give is to these tropical regions. Therefore they are receiving the less amount of heat, therefore these are very cold in nature. Next we have the jet streams. Jet streams are nothing, they are the narrow belts of strong winds in the upper troposphere. As you all know, there are layers of the atmosphere: stratosphere, troposphere. So these are the mesosphere where the jet could be seen. So that region basically refers to the jet streams. And these jet streams could be just visualized in the layer known as the troposphere layer. So we have dominant in winter over India. In India, बस इंडिया के नाम से जानते हैं कि कहाँ पर इनकी importance है. These are basically important in winter seasons because they are found in nowhere but in the troposphere layer of the earth. Okay, layers are mesosphere, troposphere, stratosphere, exosphere. So these sort of layers are there inside the earth. Then we have tropical jet regions that develops tropical jet regions that develops during the summer monsoon. Firstly, there were the subtropical that were during the cold season, and here are the tropical that are relevant for your summer monsoon. And jet streams play a crucial role in monsoon onset, withdrawal, and western disturbances. So, jet systems are also very crucial when they come to play the role of the climate and the environment. Hence, we need to take consideration of jet streams as well. So this was all for today. In next video, we shall be continuing with the atmospheric pressure, moisture and humidity. Thank you and keep watching.